Jeff. Can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, no, absolutely. I'm going to hit record here. I know your time's valuable. I don't want to keep you
Oh,
too
we're just
long.
back toward Oklahoma for a little bit more.
Um, First off, again, hello. I do want to say Boomer Sooner.
Boomer Sooner.
I'm
Sooner, isn't it?
a OU School of Meteorology class of 1992. I think I've got just a few years on you, but I don't think you were too far behind me.
Hey, you look so much better than me.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit today. I know you are going to be making a planned trip to Huntsville. We're going to talk a little bit about that and your impromptu trip here to North Alabama in the last few days. But just to get started here, of course, you're Dr. Reed Timmer, OU grad, and again, have that in common with you. You are a storm chaser, you are a tornado researcher, you are a social media star. And then, of course, in the weather community, everyone's very familiar with you. But for people who maybe have not heard of you, what would you like to tell them about you? Just a little bit of your background, a little bit of a bio about you.
Well, I'd love to talk about the tornado intercept too, just west of Huntsville from a couple of days ago with the data that we collected inside. We think it was a sub vortex as it had kind of a left-hand turn trench right through the corn before it impacted the Dominator. We launched one of our sensors by air cannon into that tornado, and we're still on the lookout for the red parachute, and I think it's somewhere in the Huntsville area. So, but in terms of background, anything's game. We can talk about storm chasing, how I got into it. We can talk about OU, our science mission, and the tank-like vehicle with the Dominator back behind me. So,
Okay. Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So what sparked your interest in weather? I know a lot of people in meteorology have kind of a background story. So what's yours?
Well, it just started as far back as I can remember, back to about 4 or 5 years old. And I had a tornado experience in 1985 when my dad was pulling us to go catch minnows. And I just remember the chaos of the situation, the tornado siren sounding. I was up in Michigan. And I think that must have been what peaked it. But I was always into the sciences, collected insects for many years, did Science Olympiad. And, it was just natural to kind of gravitate toward the science of meteorology.
Okay. And you've turned that basically into a career. Tornadoes, of course. Obviously you did research at OU to get your master's and your PhD. When did the idea of, you know what, I'm going to put together this vehicle and our goal is going to be to drive it into a tornado? When did that idea come to fruition, and what was kind of the process to get all that together?
Well, the first tornado I had ever been really close to was May 3rd, 1999, the F5 there just to the southwest of Oklahoma City. And 5 of us freshman meteorology students were packed in a soft top geo tracker chasing that storm. And we ended up underneath an overpass about an eighth of a mile away from the F5 there when it was just to the east of Bridge Creek. And I think that definitely excited my passion for getting close to tornadoes because you can see them in 3 dimensions. And you can see all the motion in there, the complex dynamics, the suction vortices, and there's so much fine detail that you can see from up close that I think that event definitely spurred my interest to get close. But I drove a lot of beater vehicles over the years, a 1985 Plymouth Reliant, a Mercury Topaz, and a Chevy Lumina held together by duct tape. But we're always getting so close to tornadoes that we always had the desire to give us some extra protection in the vehicle so that we could collect data near or inside of the vortex. And when we started working with Discovery Channel Storm Chasers, that allowed us to get a science budget so that we could build the Dominators, outfit them with instrumentation, and then start intercepting the tornadoes directly and even shooting rockets into the tornado with miniaturized sensors buried in the nose cone. The parachute pops, and then those sensors ride up through the vortex into the mesocyclone, measuring thermodynamics and wind speed inside of the tornado.
And what's some of the most interesting or eye-opening data you've collected thus far?
Well, the most eye-opening data was probably in 2019, the Linwood, Kansas EF4 tornado. And we launched a rocket into that tornado and measured wind speeds of 190 miles an hour, a pressure deficit of 113.5 millibars just above the ground, and a vertical wind of 63 meters per second, so near 125 miles per hour in the straight up. And we learned a lot about the three-dimensional structure of the tornado and mesocyclone. I know that a lot of textbooks show the tornado going all the way up to the tropopause. I know the movie Twister depicted that, where you can see an eye all the way up to blue sky. But one thing we learned from that single trajectory through the tornado is that the tornado really only goes up to about 10 or 11,000 feet and then widens up into the broad mesocyclone above. And it's a pretty smooth transition from the top of the tornado up to the mesocyclone. But really just the first time collecting three-dimensional thermodynamics inside of that tornado and also publishing the results in a journal article was definitely an amazing data set collected inside of that tornado. But just a couple of days ago, just to the west of Huntsville, we intercepted that tornado in Limestone County and got impacted by a suction vortex, likely with wind speeds of near 200 miles per hour. But it hit the front side of the Dominator 3, and on the back is the anemometer, and that measured 132 mile per hour wind gusts. But we know that that anemometer did not actually capture the true intensity of that suction vortex as it impacted the front of the Dominator 3 and actually rotated the vehicle 100 degrees while in park inside of that suction vortex.
Right. Yeah, I've seen the video. That must have been just a crazy, crazy situation to be in.
It was, and it spun up very fast. It was a broader circulation. I believe it was rated EF2, but it had a lot of suction vortices in there, a lot of those really intense small scale tornado-like vortices that will rotate around those bigger circulations. And it actually did a trench right through the cornfield that did a sharp left turn, impacted the Dominator, and then it didn't continue on the other side of the road. So you can actually see kind of the complex interaction of the tornado vortex with the topography.
That's just incredible. And yeah, I mean, I've watched that video, and that must have been quite the experience. Obviously, though, not something that we want to encourage other people to do, for sure. But you know, your vehicle designed for that. What is that? The scariest situation you've been in the Dominator, or have there been other situations that even surpassed that incident?
Well, I don't feel too much fear just because of the faith in the vehicle and the Dominator 3. It has angles on the outside armor that always direct a downward force that keep us anchored to the ground. And we have a spike system too behind the front doors that I usually deploy if we're about to intercept a tornado, but that suction vortex developed so quickly that that's why the Dominator ended up spinning in a circle. And I was a little bit worried for a split second when I thought we were airborne as we were going around in a circle, but then I just leaned back into the faith and full trust in the Dominator 3 to keep us safe. And that's a great point that you make. We never want to encourage people to do dangerous activities, and it's very important for people to realize that the Dominator 3 is specifically designed to survive those winds, and you don't want to just be driving your Honda Accord into a tornado because that could be a life-threatening situation for you. But it also is important to realize how difficult it is to actually drive into a tornado as well, because a lot of times when you're a mile away, it'll look like you're 100 feet from the tornado just due to depth perception issues when you see it for the first time. But it's very important to heed those warnings, get to shelter, don't do what we do, do not attempt, because we do have a vehicle that is specifically designed to survive the winds inside of a tornado.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly don't want other people doing that. And you know, you're not just out there storm chasing. I know there are a lot of people that are just storm chasing. They want to get pictures, they want to get video. But again, what you are doing is not just that, but also gathering very valuable research again about the structure of these tornadoes. And you know, the hope is that information is maybe going to help make warnings a little bit better, help us understand how these form a little bit better. And that's going to be something that will eventually trickle down into better forecast.
One day we can shut them down even, but to at least learn the three-dimensional structure of the tornado and the complex thermodynamics within it. And we only have about 4 to 5 actual data points collected inside of a tornado. So any data point you could that is collected inside of a tornado vortex is valuable data. And you are right, our mission is purely scientific in nature. You never want to intercept a tornado for sport. if you're going to intercept a tornado, you need to be collecting data out there and trying to better understand the three-dimensional structure of the tornado and the supercell storm. But definitely safety is first, of course. Safety is my middle name, and that's why we try to promote safe practices out there as best as possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. I do want to talk about, again, this was an impromptu trip to the Huntsville area, of course, covering the severe weather and the tornado potential. You do have a planned visit here coming up in September. You are going on tour across the country, and Huntsville is going to be one of the stops. Tell us when you're going to be here, and also give us a little bit of idea for people that want to come check this out, what they can expect to experience.
Yes, we are heading to Huntsville on September 26th. I'm going to share stories of the art of the tornado intercepts, share scientific data that we collect inside of these tornadoes, including the one that happened 2 days ago just to the west of Huntsville. We'll have three-dimensional animations of the probe flying inside of the tornado. We'll share what it's like being inside of a tornado and spinning around in a circle as well, and promote safe practices and safety around severe weather. That's really going to be the theme of this talk, and show you what it looks like inside of a tornado. So I look forward to connecting with your audience there in northern Alabama and Huntsville. It's an area where we storm chase all the time. You know, the elevated terrain up there causes those supercell storms to intensify and produce a lot of tornadoes. We anticipated that with the Limestone County storm as it moved out of far northeastern Mississippi to northwestern corner of Alabama. And of course, it went tornadic right when that happened. So I look forward to heading out there in Huntsville, September 26th. You can check out tickets as well to this article. And I just really look forward to connecting with your audience there in northwestern Alabama.
All right, Reed. We're looking forward to your next visit. We hope that that will be the next one, that there's not going to be another one where you're here for severe weather and tornadoes. I think we've had our fill here in North Alabama for the season. One last thing before I go, for, of course, our Alabama folks here. You know, there's a big softball game coming up, Super Regionals in Norman, starting tomorrow. Oklahoma, Alabama. Who are you picking?
Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner.
Boomer Sooner. All right, Reed. Again, appreciate your time. Very informative. And again, we look forward to seeing you here in Huntsville there towards the end of September.
Thank you so much for having me.